Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to today's lighting critique. So today we've got obviously images to go through, but I did want to address one of the things that came up in the lighting work in progress and feedback channel. It was talking about, because somebody was talking about how they added a glow effect in Photoshop, and then the question was brought up of whether that's an okay practice. Like it was kind of thought that might be frowned upon. And so here's the deal. So the question came from somebody who's been working a lot in gaming. And so gaming and animation and visual effects are kind of two different mediums, right? So gaming is more of it's in an interactive state where film and animation is more in a passive state, or a static state, I should say. So by that, I mean the images are what they are. They're on the screen. They're being displayed. The audience views them. Cool. Gaming and VR and AR, on the other hand, is much more interactive. So the audience has the ability to move, to change, to interact with the space in a variety of ways. So therefore, like using Photoshop, After Effects, new compositing tricks to make your image look a certain way is kind of impossible because the audience has control over how they're seeing the image. But film and visual effects, they don't have that control. You've put them, you've got them set down. You give them the exact vantage point you want. You give them exactly, you give them like, it's a difference between like a choose your own adventure book and just like a regular old book where they just tell you the story. So for that, for animation and visual effects, you have more freedom to just make a good image. It's all about the image. However you get the final image is done. You can use Photoshop to make images. You can use Nuke. You can use Microsoft Paint for all people care. They just want to see a pretty picture at the end of the day. And using Photoshop is pretty common practice in my experience with doing still work. Work for billboards or promotional content or anything that's non-moving. You'll work with a designer as a lighting artist. You'll work with a designer to you'll show them your work and be like, hey, this is where I've gotten so far. I've even had people ask that I take out the idings because they'll just paint those in Photoshop. And then you work with them to be like, hey, is this, they'll look at it and they'll say, okay, we should do this, this, and this. You know what? I can do all that in Photoshop. Just pass me the file. Because it really helps eliminate your schedule or pare down your schedule a little bit if you can do this stuff in 2D. So generally speaking, what I would encourage you to do is just generally think about the project. Think about the end product that you are creating. Is it static or is it active? If it's static, then you can do whatever you want. If it's active, then you are bound a little bit more by keeping everything in render in the game engine. Okay, so let's get into some images here. Let's go through alphabetical order. We'll start with Amy. Amy, great stuff. Cool, love it. Love the use of fireworks. We use this a lot in Rio 2 and other films. But fireworks are a common element in CG scenes just because they're colorful and they're bright and they're fun. So generally, when you do fireworks, the things you want to see are, in this case, we've got the fireworks back behind. So you want to see more of like a rim light from those fireworks onto the characters. You want to see that the color matches up with the main light there. You want it to affect the specularity more than the diffuse. Like you can see here, like I love that you're getting the color up in here, but you're pushing it so much that it's kind of clipping out the diffuse value. So you want to pull that down a little bit and just get it in the specular highlights. That'll really help out. But you want to tie the characters and the lighting in the environment, together. So you want to really feel that color on those characters. In this particular scene, I think that you can potentially go a little darker on the edges of these and on like the foreground of the characters and make it more about the lighting back from behind. Because generally when you look at fireworks, there's not a lot of you generally turn off the lights. So there's not a lot of other ambient light in there. So you can let the fireworks really, really drive the show. And then, so colorful back there, a little darker here on the foreground. And the other thing I will tell you too is that I love your setup. I love the staging, but at this angle, at this scale, we might have to touch up this wood texture a little bit. Like especially down here, it just kind of feels like it's stretching over the edge. You may need to go in there and add and paint in some more, or add just a higher grade of detail on these specific objects. It's all fine in the sushi and in the rolls and the rice and everything, but like in these boards themselves, they're like you can start to see the texture kind of break down and the lack of a wood grain in there. Yeah, but it's looking good overall, and I think that you're moving along quite well. Ashley, great start. Love this. Love the inside out glowing orbs. Didn't think of that as a good reference point, but I love that idea. Rice looks really good. It's more translucent there with a little bit of specular highlight. I love that. The way that we built our rice is a little bit different than that, but I see that you're getting it here with these nice specular highlights, so that's really, really pretty. The glowing orbs are nice. They are, I mean, these were designed to be sushi row, so they would generally be a little more on the pink side, but you're using them as orbs, and that's totally cool. I love that. The one thing that stood out to me initially was like there was something about the depth of field that was feeling a little off to me, and I thought about it and I looked at it a little more deeply, and it's coming like this side of the image is a really good example. So you have your character, and it's on the same plane as like here, right? They're in depth space. They're about the same as this part of the stand that they're standing on. So the character is out of focus, but all of this is in focus, and it's kind of throwing me off. So I feel like that this character should be more in focus, and then like the very back of this should start to fall out of focus. And then like same thing over here, like the fact that this is nice and crisp on the edge, but the character here is very out of focus. You may want to watch out for that. In terms, and then this down here, your rice looks so good in the light, but in the shadows, it's a little dingy. So I would either slide that off. I mean, basically, you could slide it off camera a little bit, or just increase add a little bit more light over here, and then artificially boost up the color of the rice to make it a little bit brighter. But other than that, I think that'll be so that would be my main things to focus on, and then I would also consider darkening as we go up here. Like we have these as the light sources, and we're going to try and kind of center those in this region here. But I do think that we could pull that one out. I do think that we can add in a little bit more darkness up here at the top to kind of get our focus down in this region here. And then, like all of the, like this character can just be a slight glow, and even, can be hit up by a little rim on the outside to suggest that there's a larger world outside of this. But this is a good start too. All right, Bree, we got your reference here. Really soft, really glowy, very, very smooth. It even makes me slow down the pace of my voice. But it's really great stuff. And you're kind of matching that really well. Like I can kind of feel the smoothness of it. But that being said, I do think that the rice color can go a little bit brighter. It's just feeling gray everywhere, and I would like it to feel a little more white. It's the difficulty of lighting objects that are white, right? Like they fall off white a little bit, and they just start to look like they're dirty or dusty. So that would be the first place that I would find. Oh, the other one was other people were pointing out like these cucumbers and stuff over here are missing. Just watch out for that. Overall, the row is a little bit on the glowy side. Like if I kind of squint at the screen, they really pop out. Like this is really popping out as being it's like more saturated and brighter than anything else in the scene, where everything else is kind of falling into kind of a homogeneous color scheme. I do think that like even though we have this lifted soft value, I do think we can build a black point hierarchy or a little bit more structure in this. Like here you can see there's a little more darkness here. Like there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same thing here. Like this is dark 2, 3, say that 4, and then Eiffel Tower 5. And same thing here, the aerial perspective. Same thing here as we step back into space. I do think that you can build that in a little bit more into yours, where we add a little bit more contrast to the foreground here and allow it to kind of step up. So it's like here would be 1, 2. Actually, I can't tell. Like this would probably be 3, or whichever of these two is closer, and then back here is 4. So allow allow the black points to be darker in the space. That's 1, 2 a little bit lighter, 3 a little bit lighter, and then 4 is where you kind of lift up there. I would also like to see a little bit more, because you've got this sun coming in here. It almost feels like everything is in shadow, and with this amount of sun, like it would almost feel like there's a shadow being cast here. So like some of these would be hit by the sun, and some of them would be in shadow. Same thing up here, like this area would be more rimlit. So I would encourage you to get some more sun splashes in there and just get to create some more variation across the whole thing. But again, loving these starts. This is really great. All right, Cleber. I'm gonna hop over into Sync Sketch because I want to take a look at your full animation here. So young character, rotating one, moving across, setting the glasses on that one. Cool, cool. Where does she get the glasses from? I'm just realizing that. I don't know. Let's watch her right hand. She just kind of pulls them out of nowhere. Am I crazy? So she steps. Right hand, not there, not there, not there, not there. Boom, they're there now. Weird. So that would be something. Maybe just have her in her hand the whole time. All right. So yeah. Okay. So I understand the animation of this. So these all three, like this whole, all three of these characters are going to be our main focus because there's action happening between them. The characters moving along, so there should be some dynamic light going on in there. So I like this. I do think we can go brighter on this window. I see like these saturation colors are distracting a little bit. Like I would just lift them up a little bit just because you want her to be hit. Man, look at her hair. Look how pretty that looks. Ugh, so good. Maybe add a little more specularity on this side, but like having her go from, because like we're gonna need 3 reads on her. One in this pose where we got the rim light, which you've got in the middle here. She's gonna be hit by a little rim light, but her dark core should be dark over light. And then as she gets over here, there should be an opposite rim light on her face this way, to kind of pick her up. So I would say that you are off on a good start there. It looks good in this pose. I'd like to see the other two. So a frame here, a frame with her in the middle, and a frame with her on the outside. Watch out for this amount of brightness there on the table. That's you don't like. It's fine to have a little bit of that, but that like broad shape is going to draw the eye down there, and not great. By the way, I love this little bit of key hit on this guy falling back into this space. I think that really ties together well. Probably make this a little more brushed, not quite perfectly chromy. This bottle looks really nice. Love the spill light coming down there. But with these characters, again, like you've got some nice specular highlight there. But I would just add in, try and push yourself to get more specularity in the fill side of her skin tones. I think that'll help out a lot. But everything else is looking pretty good. I want to see what this lighting scenario looks like in the other 2 poses before making further comment. But this is looking pretty good. It's hard to tell from this. There's a lot of activity back here, and you've got this. It looks like a very large area light back there, which is nice. The one thing again you want to watch out for is you want to have some dynamic element as she moves across here. Like right now, the light does feel like it's coming in on this side. And when she gets over here, you want to make sure it feels like it's coming in from the other side. And in the middle, it's like purely behind her. So just to be aware of there. Sometimes those very large radius lights can wash that away. Diana, this is looking really great. This is really like all I could think about is this feels like rich and chocolatey as a scene overall. There are a couple things that I would consider doing. I think you can go more dense on the volumetric light as it comes in through the window over here and allow it to fall off a little bit more as it goes over that way. Just a little more density right around the main window shape I think would be good. And then the other one, I would consider pushing the brightness on this sun hit on the ground, because like looking back, this is a very dark scene in that it's like it's like a heavily brown, like a dark brown room, but the exposure on it is pretty high, like we can see most of it. So if you're going to be exposing that much into a room and an interior space, the exterior light that's coming in would get a little bit brighter. Like it would get about to that point. So I would just push that light just a touch more. In fact, let me just try and, because I think that a little bit more. So maybe something a little more along those lines. This might be a little much, but I was just looking more down here. So into that region right about that level, and then you can get a little bit more push out of the rest of the scene, and then you can get a little bit more glowiness from around these edges, just like a little bit more, and then that can go a little brighter. But overall, I'm not too much tweaking needs to be done on this one. It's looking really, really strong. Jordan. Okay, the one thing I was thinking about with this one, I do think you can go still a little warmer with this light, this kind of overall haze. I do think you can break it up a little bit because looking at this over here, it's starting to flatten out. So I think you can isolate a little bit more around the window, similar to what we were just talking about in Diana's. A little bit warmer, brighter around the window, and then it falls off as it goes away. This is looking better in here. The other thing I would do is think about adding vertical variation on him. Like I would have him go darker as we go down. Maybe it's a light blocker, maybe it's done in the comp, but basically I want our focus to be a little bit more on his torso, and his legs are getting a little bit too much bright. A little too bright. This is getting a little bright too. I wonder, and again, it's also like picking up something there. Make sure that that's not the edge of a spotlight, and you may need to fiddle with this a little bit, either darkening the shader, maybe rotating it slightly so it's not picking up quite this much light, but something you want to look into there. Plants and cactuses, again, these all look great back there. Really love the look of those. But yeah, everything else is looking pretty good. I think that's where I would go from there. And then, just watch out, his shirt's getting a little bit bright in that region. So you don't want that to clip out too much. Jorge, welcome. We got a couple images here from you. So a couple things about both of these that I think that would be, well, first off, it would be great to have some reference imagery in so we can have a sense of what you're going for. The other thing that I was thinking was that like there's a lot of light overall in these, and there's not a lot of shadow play. Like there's not a lot of, especially in this one. Let's look at just the green light for now. There's green light on this side. There's green light on this side. There's green light down here. It's up here. It's kind of everywhere around the building. And there's really no variation in the tone or the value. And also, like, I don't know, I can't figure out, like, what the light source is on something like that. So you really want to, you really want to use that to, tell a little bit more of the story and create more shaping out of it. And you really want to think about, like, where is that light source coming from? What is its motivation? Because it looks cool. Like it looks cool in parts. Like I love the idea of it, but I just want to isolate it down to smaller areas. Same thing with the red light, right? We've got red light kind of existing a little bit uniformly throughout, and it's not really casting a lot of shadows. Like these objects just kind of feel like they're shoved into the ground. There's not a lot of cast shadows going around. I do think, and then like these lights are on, but I don't see their influence too much on the scene. It feels like all this light's coming from up underneath, and then this doesn't, like, you don't really see the influence on this. So it's almost like I want you to start thinking about how you're going to limit the amount of lights into certain sections and really control it, because right now it's just it's going in every direction. Same thing here, just lots of light everywhere. It's a little, this is a little bit of a smaller scene, so you have some more leeway, but the lights that are in the scene now are also equal in intensity kind of across the board. So like I can't tell right now which one of these, the green or purple light, is more dominant. Because what ends up happening is you get to the face and there's very little fall off or shaping. Like looking at the color of the face, and this is a black shape that's been layered over the top using the color node. This is how I look at luminosity. So the positive is that you've got more luminosity on the face, and we're really able to zero in there, but we don't have a lot of variation going across the face. It's a little darker on this side and a little brighter on this side, but what we want to see is more shaping, more fall off. And then going across the couch and across the shirt there, all of that is about the same. Let's look at this one too. So same deal with this. There is some more brightness around here, but like the shaping in the the foreground and in the street, in the grass and stuff. We just need to make some more brighter and darker patches. I do really love, again, that this is brighter in here and that we're able to kind of tell the story by getting our focus in this region. But there needs to be some more light and dark values throughout the scene. So for your next iteration, I would like for you to find some reference images to help us identify like the look that you're going for, and B, on this one, I want you to identify a light source that is more your key and one that's more your fill, because we need to get some light to dark fall off areas and just some more shaping in general on the character and in the background. And then on this one, I would like to work on isolating the lights down to their specific light sources. So this kind of overall red haze is cool, but maybe it's a little bit too much. This overall green on the building is cool, but let's figure out where it's coming from and where it's affecting. These light bulbs are cool, but like are they going to be the dominant light source? Are they a secondary light source? Are they going to hit the house? Are they going to hit these things? So it's really thinking about your lighting in terms of storytelling. So, but this is a great start. I'm really excited to work with you. All right, Kat. So I know that you're waiting on the new system. It's in your area. It's coming soon. We're so excited. So I don't want to give too many notes on this because I know things are going to be changing soon. But I do think that your key to fill is better. I do like that we've got more focus on her face and there's more darkness down here. The light from the phone allows us to do that. I would say that even though the character is looking pretty straight on with it, the phone is a little bit favored to this side. So the light coming at her from the phone should feel a little bit more screen right leaning. So it's a little brighter on this side and going darker over there. If you need to push it a little bit further to the right than the phone is actually positioned, I would do that because it's more important about how it looks. And again, this is a very small light source, so it's less about that it's emitting light and more that it's about appearing in her reflections and specularity across her face. But yeah, so I will leave it at that, but I'm really excited to see what this looks like with the ray trace shadows and everything in there. All right, so that's everything for today. If you all have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I look forward to seeing where you guys are tomorrow. All right, talk to you soon. Happy lighting.